6 o'clock, call the meeting to order. Entertain a motion to approve the minutes of November 28th Select Board meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
5-0. There are two additions. One is a correspondence from Susan LeCours. The other one is a liquor license for Harmonyville store, I believe. Those are both in new business. Or excuse me, one is in new business, one is in correspondence. The next, we have members of the public. Ally, you were the first one here. Have at it.
Okay, I'm here because at our gazebo meeting, we talked about fundraising. And I was asked to go to the bank and investigate starting a bank account to put money into. We would have to start, if it wasn't in my name, we would have to start a business account. And they're like, but it's really not a business because it's part of the town. And if you put it in my name, not only would I be responsible for taxes on it, on the interest, but the additions to the account could look like money that I've earned and I could be taxed on. And if a check came in to Town of Townsend, I couldn't deposit it in Ally Evans's account, so it's kind of useless. So what my thoughts were, the money that comes in for a dog license, for a marriage license, goes through Alanka. She does bookkeeping. She gives a spreadsheet to the treasurer, and then the treasurer bookkeeps marriage license, bump. And then it could just be book kept to Mosley Fund. You wouldn't, in my opinion, have to start a new fund because you already have the money there that's going to be used for the gazebo. And the only thing that goes in is interest anyway, a little bit of interest each year. So it would be easy to eyeball it and see what came in donations. I have no clue how successful we'll be, so it could be we make $12 or it could be we make $20,000. I really don't know. We'll try our best. We have a lot of good ideas how to fundraise. We have a GoFundMe page up and ready to go as soon as we find out where we can tell people, the GoFundMe people to put the money. I just wanted to bring it to you for your opinions and guidance.
Okay. Well, we were under the impression that because of the municipality, we couldn't do fundraising on that scale. We've gotten a word from the auditor that says we can. We can accept under town accounts donations for something like that. Treasurer would have to set up the line item. I don't want to put it in the Mosley Fund. I don't want to put it in the Common Fund. It should be clean, so it should be just the gazebo account, and when it's dissolved, the money will go into the general fund just like any other thing, or it can be put into upkeep, that type of thing. It's just going to need the agreement of the rest of the board to do it, and we'll take care of the backside of it within the next couple of days.
Okay. We have a meeting coming up and then we can act on it.
Does anybody have any questions about it? Okay, I would be looking for a motion to direct the treasurer to set up an account for the gazebo fundraising and allow funds to come in through that process.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Any further questions? I think if you read the packet of information that came out that Connie gave you, it's pretty clear. The only thing I'd rather see is a separate account so it's clean, straight lines. Okay? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, 5-0. You got it.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see, what's next? Liz Bowen?
Yes. Hi.
Hello, Liz.
Hi, I'll stand so I can see everybody. Thank you for letting me talk. A week ago, my 3 children were in a car accident on their way to school. They were driving southbound on Athens Road or Route 35. And where Grafton Road and Townsend Road meet, they hit a patch of black ice, spun, went into the ditch, hit something and flipped the car. Thankfully, they walked away, all three of them, with minor bruises and scratches. The aftershocks we're still feeling, but our car is totaled. And when we had Robert Brooks come and tow out our car, he said to my husband, as soon as I heard where, what you had said, I knew exactly that spot because I pulled out 3 other cars here recently. So I am here to ask the town tonight for 2 things. One, to put up a guardrail right there where Grafton and Townsend, those 2 roads meet, because there is a bit of a dip that goes down into that brook. And second, to increase salting and sanding of the roads, especially for the morning commute, when we have young people trying to get, driving themselves to school. We've got school buses on the road. We've got everybody else trying to get to work. And I know that I have also, felt that because of our climate changing and we have more ice on the roads, especially first thing in the morning, it is becoming very dangerous. And just a quick little spin off for anybody can be terrifying. Thank you.
Okay. Jeremy, can you look at that area and see what we can do for maybe a
I
guardrail?
was not aware of the accident, so can you give me more information after, please?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, so the correspondence, oh, wait a minute, does anybody else have any questions for Liz? Okay, we'll move on to correspondence. Susan LeCours, who has been the town's delegate to Valley Cares Board, has asked to be replaced. She's done it for 6 years and she needs to move on. The paperwork's in the letter's in the packet. So we're actively looking for somebody to replace her in that position. And I'd like to just thank her for taking on that volunteer role in town for as long as she did. All right. Warrants. Go ahead, Katie.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the warrants. Number 1, payroll in the amount of $13,316.62. Number 2, payroll taxes in the amount of $3,755.08. Number 3, special payroll in the amount of $7,298.45. Number 4, special payroll taxes in the amount of $2,336.33. Number 5, general fund in the amount of $681,086.59. Number 6, general fund in the amount of $23,986.43. Number 7, general fund in the amount of $194.93. Number 8, highway in the amount of $7,960.29. Number 9, highway equipment in the amount of $11,113.53 for a total of $751,048.25.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion about the warrants? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. 5-0. All right, highway report. Jeremy, you're up.
Not much to report, just waiting on snow, with a little mud in a few spots, so we're gonna probably adjust that in the next couple of days. Other than that, all the equipment's up and good. Yeah, not much going on.
Okay. Anything for Jeremy?
Yes, I'd like to say thank you for filling some of the holes in the pavement. That gets it that boy.
We got a lot of trouble with that. Still more to do, so yeah, another order of bags coming.
All All right, treasurer's report. Now, the numbers I'm reading to you are pre the warrants we just approved. The ledger has $1,577,491.31. The true fund balance, after taking away all obligations, is $13,297.16. Town clerk's report, I don't think we got one this time, did we? No. I haven't got anything special. The only thing I'll say is we're working on the budget for the coming year. We've met every Monday for the last 4 weeks. And what the plan is to have a proof of the budget by the next board meeting, so you all can look at it. And if we can get it out sooner than that, so we can get it to you, have a discussion, we will. With the final meeting on budget being the first board meeting in January. That'll still keep us to our timelines for town meeting. So I guess I did have something to say. All right. Let's take up, I know it's a little bit out of order, but let's take up under old business, the Peaked Mountain Road naming. That's gonna be quicker, I think. All right, so this is one that came up where the offshoot of Peaked Mountain Road, there were at least 3 houses put up there, or 4 houses, something like that. So it qualifies, or it's required to have a name under the 911 system. The name that was proposed has gone through the checks, whether it's something close to another road in this area, so on, was Nadine Road. They need our sign off on it. This was one that was carried over from last meeting.
Did we get any sort of correspondence with anybody else on the road?
No. Any question?
Is there any protocol to wait to see if any out-of-state residents,
Yeah, it's
Have
mainly
anything to
people
say?
that live up there.
the people that live there, yeah?
We had this come up last meeting, and it was decided to put it on the table to allow people to come forward and bring up any other ideas, and that didn't happen. So, I guess the way I'll work it is I'd entertain a motion to move forward with the renaming of that section of Peaked Mountain Road that is identified in the town lister's memo as Nadine Road.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second?
Do we have any conversation over any points?
Would it be a road, seeing as it doesn't continue on, or would it be a lane or a way,
Well, she added in
a
here,
drive?
she added in here a
Terrace.
couple other options.
Trace?
Trace, yeah. Nadine Way, Nadine Lane, were also added in as options. Is that dead end of or class 4, or just stops?
Stops.
Well, I guess it's whatever you want to do with it.
Sounds like Nadine Road to me.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 5-0. Okay. That's taken care of. Do we need to sign off on that, Connie? Is there any paperwork?
I think I
that-
just notify her.
All right, the next one is under old business is we have Green Mountain Power here for an update on West Hill project. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. Tim Jones, Green Mountain Power Operations Program Manager. With me tonight, Mike Burke, our VP of Operations. Just start by saying, again, sincere thank you to the town when I was here in July to seek permission to get into this project in the West Hill area. The town gave us their wholehearted support, and we're grateful for that to be able to really get into this initiative of bringing our best available, storm-hardened technology out here, starting in Townshend. Again, also thank you to the community at large in the West Hill area for sure. I heard from many of those folks in the last 4 months since we started this program in August. Also to your highway department that's been working in close concert with our teams out in the field to do our best to bring this project home. Certainly I'll let Mike elaborate a little bit more, but again, just really where we're at over the last 4 months, we have approximately 3 miles of line, actually a little bit more than that, but about 3 miles in the town limits of Townshend. As we mark time today, we're just about to the plow turnaround, I believe, which sort of separates Wardsboro and Townshend. Our goal by the end of this week is to have everything terminated to that area, roughly Kaiser Road area, and what that will allow us to do basically is from there back to the covered bridge will be totally cut over to our new underground, and the risk of anything happening to the overhead line that's certainly brought some problems over the last couple of years, that will be eliminated. We'll have to come back and retire that line, but it will be fully cut over to the new underground that we've installed to that point. So again, thank you for your cooperation, and apologies that we have missed our timeline here as we've gotten into winter. Certainly blessed with some good weather this week. 2 timelines. Sorry, Rob. Certainly we've had to pull some of our crews away over the past few weeks to address an attack storm activity in the northern part of the state. It's just the nature of our business. Again, apologies for missing the timeline, and certainly didn't want to put ourselves in a situation where we would have to pull folks away when we were so close. I know that we proceeded over the last few weeks without the town's full support, but I think where we were at that time in my close communications with Rob on a daily basis throughout the project was we really so our judgment was if we had walked away from it without getting to where we're talking about this week, that all of the work that we had put in really would have been for naught, quite honestly. So I know that there's some differing opinions on that, certainly, and welcome your feedback tonight. But again, thank you. Appreciate the town's support. Couldn't have done it without your support, obviously, and the folks that live up in the area. So thank you.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments?
You're looking at me, it's like I've got plenty of comments, and I think I expressed them without the camera, which is probably better, and I'm gonna bite my tongue for the first time in the project.
So it sounds like that we have a better idea of what we can expect for future projects like this. Now we know the questions to ask and what guidelines we want to make sure we're hitting. What would you say from your experience was the biggest challenge, or what were some of your biggest challenges in this project?
I think just pointing to, part of your cooperation on the front end obviously was minting the agreement. So I think other than the timing and some of the road closures and so forth, so that'd probably be number one thing in terms of just how we manage road closures. But what we did encounter, the culvert replacements and rehabilitating the road, I believe we honored that. Again, we got late into the season here, so the condition of the road hopefully is gonna be improved when we move on out of here. So I think the learning would be just more robust communication around road closures. Mm-hmm. Certainly we made ourselves available, took many calls from folks in the town and so forth. So just a little bit more in sync with the message and what's happening on the ground is probably, the takeaway.
Can I add to that too? Certainly. We also, what we learned during this project is we researched and found a machine that, whereas open digging obviously causes some damage to the road, we now have a machine that's only a 10-inch wide rock saw that whether you're digging in rock, ledge, soil, whatever it is, it causes much less intrusion to the road. It moves a lot faster, a lot more efficient than just open trenching. And we certainly learned that that is the only way we're going to do this in the future. So, there won't be whole sides of a road dug up. In fact, we hope to go just off the side of the traveled portion of the road and not even bother the roads anymore. So we've learned a lot in this process. You probably saw that machine here. It's the first time that utilities have started to find a way to do this and convert overhead to underground. Most of the utilities you'll hear from across country are saying they can't do that. It's not cost effective. We believe we can do this cost effectively in comparison to cutting down acres and acres of trees. So we did learn a lot there. Thank you for the opportunity to allow us to learn that there. And beyond that, we are continuing with our projects through Townshend on Route 30. The goal is to tie Townshend to Dummerston, eventually to a brand new substation in Newfane, which will give us another insertion of power to the area that will solidify the ability to recover if we go out at all in the future because of that new substation. So we are continuing in this area to focus on this area, to work and do everything we can to keep the lights on the majority of the time. And I think you'll see already, clearly we have more work to do on Route 32, but that can continue right through the winter. We have the permits from the state to continue to do that, and we plan to continue to do that. To create a backbone that Route 30 actually feeds West Hill Road, it also feeds Route 100. So we're really trying to solidify that, and then at the same time solidify the taps that go up into the villages and homes as we do that. So we're continuing to do work in here, all with the goal to keep the customers' lights on, keep everybody safe. That's the goal. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Great, go ahead.
As a person who works in town hall, I just would like to make a couple comments, not to the goal and the outcome, because I think it's a great project, but I would like to raise a couple things about what we can learn or what we could improve upon. The first thing is that I think the select board and the town clerk took the brunt of the residents' frustrations and had to deal with that. And I know you probably got some calls, but I just want you to take a minute to appreciate what the select board and the town clerk had to deal with every day when people got frustrated. And I know that, there's different interactions, but I think that you should appreciate that. The other thing two other things, which is there was a discussion when we were signing the contract that there would be a meeting between the town, the volunteer emergency services, and Green Mountain Power to talk about the project. That meeting never occurred before the project technically started. I think that in the future we should have had that meeting. Not that it would have, not run into the problems, but I think it would have created a communication and a relationship between the entities before the project started. Even if we had had that meeting, I think it's important that Green Mountain showed some initiative to get the parties together mid-project and not just have, emails and phone calls and meetings on the road, but actually have some formalized meetings to talk about progress and how's it going. And then the last thing I just want to say, and again, I think the project is a great project, the disconnect between who was working on the road and the people who were in charge of the project seemed to have been pretty wide at certain points. And I don't know if that's just the contractors you hired or your actual personnel that was on the road. It didn't always jive with what your weekly reports that you started to send out on Fridays, which I think is great, to send out the weekly reports to give us an idea of what's happening next week, but it didn't jive. They weren't accurate. So I think that there needs to be some real work between what's actually happening on the road and what you guys think is happening on the road to get those lined up.
I would say something John could work for us. Yep.
I think two things that would help is if you close the road at 8 o'clock until 4 o'clock, you guys need to have a contract with your contractors that say they have to be working. They're not down at Riverbend getting coffee and an egg sandwich. They should be on that road working. And it's like, Tim, you and I one day had a conversation. I was sitting right beside the excavator and another contractor and I had a conversation down at the market. And I was told that the machine had been running for 40 minutes. And when I made him aware that I was on the phone with you 15 minutes ago, sitting right next to the machine that was running for the 40 minutes, it didn't really jive, like she said. So it's like, if you're gonna have contractors, they have to be on the job when the road's closed. And not 15 minutes after. You have two things, you're either early or you're late. You can't be, you know, in the middle. And it's like, if you're gonna close the road and people are gonna be rerouted, get your contractors to the job and they have to be on the job. Whether it's full force, half force, or whatever. The only people that are there on time are your flaggers. Your ditching crew with the big machine, yes, they were there on time and early. But the rest of it is lackluster. Every Friday at 3 o'clock, they're gone. Plain and simple. It's like, yes, do they take lunch? No. Or take time off of the job for lunch. 8 o'clock in the morning, they're not there. And if they're there, they're just getting there. It's not like anything's greased, fueled, ready to run. It's kind of like, oh, hee-ho, hum, here we are, and we got to conversate and chit-chat and figure out what we're doing that day. And, you know, that's all cool and dandy, but when people are rerouted 45 minutes, when it takes them 5 minutes to get to Route 30, that's not fair to them.
Understand. Thank
Two
you.
things that I asked when you guys proposed this was the pre-build meeting and letting the fire department and rescue know what sections were going to be closed on a daily basis. Because you send a truck out of Townshend and that truck can't get up that road, and you have to send Wardsboro out, and then they can't because the other side's blocked. Somebody's going to get killed. It's same with rescue. Rescue Inc. They had no idea what the conditions were up there. They had no idea how or if they were even going to get there. There was at least a couple of things, and I haven't followed it as closely as he has, but there were at least a couple of things brought to my attention where both ends of the roads were closed, and there were people basically cut off.
I mean, I spent basically like a month talking to Tim and Donnie every single morning. Every morning. That's how pissed off it made me, like, to get started. Where it's like, you know, I mean, I have some text messages here of pictures of stuff that was left behind in the road, where it's like, well, nobody would leave that like that, but yet your contractors did. Phone calls, I mean, it went on to the point, and then, but what made me the most irritated, and Tim will tell you, is the part where your guys aren't there in the morning and there's people driving around. That's BS. That's straight out being arrogant and disrespectful to the residents in that area.
Understood. We actually have a project, I know we're finishing now, but certainly when we come back on another road in Townshend, if we have the opportunity, we actually have a project manager that will be on site and will be able to address anything and make sure that everything you're asking for here is set up ahead of time. So we've learned, we understand, and
in front of what you're saying is that if it happens the next time, whether I am on the select board or I'm just a resident, I am going to be howling for like an 85-page contract that covers our ass and not your ask.
You know, I understand it was tough, but we actually we got 26 new culverts in the road for you, so there was some benefit here too. I completely understand, I 100% agree with you, Rob, that if we're gonna close the road, we need to be there, right? Because we shouldn't be inconveniencing people if we're not there working. So, understand all the feedback, we'll absolutely implement that. And I'm sorry on the miss on the emergency thing. We'll talk about how that happened.
So, to cover what you're saying about, you know, the town didn't discount the idea that you did put the culverts in, but there's somewhere around 900 plus parcels of property in the town of Townshend, and if it costs you $50,000 for culverts, I'd be surprised. And I met with Eric, Tim, and Donnie one day in the rain, and I explained straight out to them that if you waited until next June, we would probably finance our own culverts, but we're not financing them on your time and for your directive. And it's like, it turned into a different game. So don't start carrying on the TV part with the 50,000, or not 50,000, but that you replace the culverts. Because I didn't get into the straight numbers of what it would cost for all the culverts and count them. But what my point is that we could have done that on our own, and we would have done it on our own. So it wasn't like it wasn't going to be able to happen, and you guys came in and saved the day on it. So.
No, but we still did it.
No,
and we're happy to do it.
And we're not saying that we're not happy to have you have done it. But what we're saying is that it would have gotten done with you or without you.
Okay.
And it would have happened on our time and our dime.
Is there any other questions?
I was asked to pass on a situation that happened to our local letter carrier that works right here in Townsend. She was driving on East Hill and Galbraith Road right up there, and a person driving a GMP pickup truck charged towards her and didn't yield, and she ended up in a ditch. He drove kind of aggressively towards her, overtook the area of the road that she was delivering her mail on, and she ended up in a ditch sideways. Caused her a 30-minute delay trying to get her carrier Jeep out of that ditch, and she was not happy about that. She was actually pretty terrified. And there's spotty service up there, as you know, so it's hard for her to communicate with anyone to help her out. So I told her I would pass that information along to you. She was going to come here tonight, but she didn't have any childcare.
Thank you.
So,
Certainly look into it. We actually we know where all our trucks are all the time, so we'll see what we can find out.
I don't know the exact day, but we can find that out.
All right.
Thank you for the candor. Appreciate it.
Okay. Well, we only improve things if we talk about the problems. So.
One thing I will say in the time that I have dealt with this is Tim has been always answering the phone. He's very positive about the Green Mountain Power project, and he's a good guy to deal with. So I'll throw that out there, as Tim is a decent guy and wholehearted with his project and following through it. So
Thank you, Rob.
I mean, sometimes I was disrespectful on the phone to Tim and was pissed, and he never got out of his realm, and Tim's a good guy to deal with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I want to know if the fire department was notified all around like Rodsboro and that.
Yeah, that was set up, or Glenn set
Because
that
I'm
up.
gonna say, most of there's no water up there, so they have to come to Townshend Dam to get it.
Yeah. Okay. No, Glenn had a pre-plan, it's just, there was
Either
just a
that
hiccup.
or go to Wadsboro or New Train, one or the other.
Okay.
So you'd have to have 3, 4, half a dozen different departments on standby to.
Okay. All right. I'd say we're all set. We'll move on to the next thing. Thank
Happy
you.
holidays.
And if you would like me to keep calling you in the morning and give you updates, just let me know. I'll fill you in on whatever's going on around
What you
here.
got for Christmas?
Thank you, everyone.
Take care. Let's see. We have a liquor license for Harmonyville Store, second class. I think it's second class. Yeah, second class. Any problems anyone's heard of coming out of that place with alcohol-related issues? Okay.
Still caught me every time.
Get some gray hairs going, they won't stop.
Start losing it. Okay, entertain a motion to accept the liquor license for the Harmonyville store.
Moved.
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, 5-0. All right, now this foolish computer-generated liquor license application has no place for us to sign. So I'm just gonna sign it on the bottom of it. If they need something else, they can send it back to us. Okay. There's nothing left to do. We've finished our business. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Okay, everybody has to sign this, or just you?
There's no,
Okay.
How about this? I'd make a motion to have Sherwood be the signer for the board sold.
So,
motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor? All right.